Hello, this is the 33rd issue of Catch of the Day, available on the Branch Talk YouTube channel, and we're going to continue again with Doug Mitchell's book, Holy Cow, Holy Dung, and it's based on Numbers 19 and Ezekiel 4. Starting at the top of page 28, spiritually speaking, this is the period of our Christian growth and training when we are becoming aware of the need to be accountable for what, when, and how we eat spiritual foods, and the elimination processes involved with this type of eating, and are acting by faith that we will respond to the inspiration we individually receive in these matters. We are also learning that we are having to educate ourselves to make the correct choices as to what is the best spiritual nutrition for ourselves, and that we at times must cease from the customs and traditions of those who have acted as our spiritual guardians, which have proven to be less than beneficial for them. We are no longer being spoon-fed by others, eating whatever they gave us. As we are at this time receiving solid foods, we are also learning that we must thoroughly chew what we are eating, and not just swallow it whole. Spiritually speaking, this means that we are to thoroughly investigate and understand what we are given to eat before we swallow it. This includes trying the spirits. 1 John 4:1. When we are presented with new things, to prove them as being worthy of becoming a part of us, and not just swallowing whatever we are given to eat. We are also becoming aware that some of the common dietary customs that our parents have accepted, or others which they of their own devising have indulged themselves, are not the best for them nor us, and that we must rise above these things, for by doing so we will be truly honoring them and lengthening our lives. Exodus 20 verse 12. Similarly, we are learning that we may have developed our own unwise preferences in the things we eat, and that we need to bring all of these desires in line with the laws of life. Remember, we are speaking of spiritual foods, doctrines. We cannot live on the faith and experience of others, but must have our own. Those who are accounted good workers will need to draw nigh to God. They will need the divine touch. Testimonies to Ministers, page 300. If any man come to me, and hate not his father and mother, and wife and children, and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. And whosoever doth not bear his cross, and come after me, cannot be my disciple. Luke 14:26 and 27. Foremost during this period is that we are learning that the timing of our eating and drinking must be governed by the laws of nature rather than by impulse. Such it is also in the spiritual realm. As important as taking in good food is, its true value will be little experienced if the body isn't given time to properly process the food and drink, and rest and refresh itself. And further, by these, my son, be admonished. Of making many books there is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. Ecclesiastes 12:12. Just as overeating or eating too often is detrimental to our health, so is much study a weariness of the flesh. While we are admonished to study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth, 2 Timothy 2:15, we are also to avoid eating junk spiritual foods, profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. Verse 16. Many parents think that they are doing their children well by feeding them all they can handle, then encouraging them to eat more. They also allow their children to eat between meals, usually junk foods. They do this to their children because they do it to themselves. They think that if it is all right for them, then it must be for their children. Likewise, many of those regarded as spiritual leaders today feed their flocks with lengthy speeches and published dissertations, many of which are not only baked on man's dung, but are nothing more than that spiritual junk foods, and they provide no more spiritual nutrition than eating dung would. That which aids in proper elimination, more so than even eating wholesome fibrous foods, is the drinking of pure water at the proper times. This is symbolic of drinking in the Holy Spirit through prayer and praise. Yet this most important exercise is probably the one most parents neglect teaching their children, as they disregard it themselves. Spiritual parents who neglect teaching their children and themselves of the value of drinking freely from the river of life, the Holy Spirit, in a timely manner, find themselves having to try and cure the ensuing spiritual constipation by means of sharp rebukes, harsh laxatives, or probing revivals, spiritual enemas, without a corresponding reformation, a change in theories, habits, and practices that brought on the malady in the first place. Take care.